wish I could see exactly what my future will be.
Yes, young ones truly had a beautiful impact on the construction project of World Headquarters. By the way, you may find it interesting to know that the Warwick and Wallkill construction projects were not funded by the donations that you have made to the worldwide work. Your donations are being used to support the work in the worldwide field. The massive construction projects at Warwick and Wallkill were funded by the sale of properties in Brooklyn. In effect, we just traded locations. We traded the value of the properties in Brooklyn for the beautiful facilities at Warwick and Wallkill. And I must say, the governing body is truly enjoying the new facility at Warwick, thanks to the hard work, both of the young and the older ones who labored in our behalf, and we truly appreciate it.
Hello, everybody.
Howdy.
Welcome to our insanity.
Yes. And I'll bet some of you are really beginning to wonder if I was going to miss an opportunity to go after my favorite little bobblehead.
Favorite little clown.
Favorite little clownlet. No, don't fool yourself for a minute. I wouldn't let this opportunity go. We've just been busy.
Yeah. Now, we watched some videos that others have made about this March 2017 broadcast, but we caught a few things that we haven't seen in other videos that we're just going to mention real quick here.
Yeah, there's nothing...
To be quick.
Yeah. There's nothing really earth-shaking or earth-shattering. No, wait a minute.
Yeah.
If you really paid attention, you'll see that Watchtower is now making the transition into the Christian rock music. We'll point to that a little bit later in the end of the video, because I just find it interesting that, if you're in a car group with Jehovah's Witnesses and you happen to be listening, say, to, a Christian rock band that comes out of, I don't know, let's say the Calvary Chapel or something like that, you would get hammered by the car group for listening to that type of music. But Watchtower is now copying this, as we'll see, because they're really, really driving or really pushing towards getting the younger ones to stay in the organization, so they have to make it more appealing. And Christian rock music happens to be what young people like listening to these days, especially if you're a Christian.
Yeah. But the biggest thing is there was some interesting things in this March broadcast, and the first thing you notice right off is them pushing for young ones to go and devote their life to Jehovah, not a higher education and career. So that was the first thing, that we noticed. And then we got to this part that we just played the clip to, and it's like, whoa, Mikey, you've got to come and hear this.
Yeah, I was in the living room sorting spent bullet shells.
And he says that the governing body is truly enjoying their new headquarters. And thank you for, that, because he's thanking the young ones for building this for them. And I'm like, oh my God. Haven't their assembly halls and everything else been dedicated to Jehovah, their God?
Yeah, where's all the glory and credit in this statement going to Jehovah?
Kingdom halls, assembly halls, everything, branches have been the house of God. In fact, Bethel means house of God. So now the governing body thanks you for their new cult compound?
Yeah, exactly.
What is up with that?
Yeah, no thanks to God at all for this, is there?
Well, I'm glad the governing body are enjoying their new cult compound thanks to you slaving away for them.
Yeah, slaving away.
Wow. We have another clip.
Okay.
Are you done with the first part?
I'm done.
Okay, so we have another clip.
The Apostle Paul said of Timothy, as recorded at Philippians chapter 2 and verses 20 through 23, "For I have no one else of a disposition like his, who will genuinely care for your concerns. For all the others are seeking their own interests, not those of Jesus Christ. But you know the proof he gave of himself, that like a child with a father, he slaved with me to advance the good news. Therefore, he is the one I am hoping to send. It is obvious that Paul loved the young man Timothy very much because of his unselfish hard work in behalf of kingdom interests. Well, the governing body feels exactly the same way about you, dear young ones, who are working hard in your various theocratic assignments.
So we use the word slave on purpose just before we went to this clip. The Jehovah's Witnesses don't even have a clue how much their Bible, the New World Trash Translation, has been tampered with. You heard him read the scripture in Philippians 2, verse 21 and 22, or 22 and 23. It was
2, 22, 20 through 23. But we're going to focus in on 22.
Because it's interesting how Watchtower uses the word, well, verse 22, reading from their translation. But you know the proof he gave of himself, that like a child with a father, he slaved with me, speaking the Apostle Paul, he slaved with me to advance the good news. So that word slave is put in there. Now, before we go any further, all of you that have been watching Mike and Kim videos for quite some time, you know we have, what now, 20 or...
We have over 30
translations. Out of all of the translations that we have, the Complete Jewish Bible is the only translation we have, other than the New World Translation, that uses the word slave.
So out of all of them, those two are the only ones. Now myself, Mikey's usually the one that reads scriptures, but myself, I use the Layman's Parallel Bible. Now this one has 4 translations in it. The King James, the Modern Language, the Living Bible, and the Revised Standard. And I always like this one because I always like to compare them right then and there. So I'm going to read verse 22 in these versions here.
First the King James, right?
First the King James. But ye know the proof of him, that as a son with the Father, he hath served with me in the gospel.
Served. Not slave. Served.
Yeah. Big difference. Modern Language. But you know his sterling worth, how as a son with his father he has served with me for the good news.
Again, served,
Co-workers.
not slaved.
Yeah, co-workers. The Living Bible. But you know Timothy, he has been just like a son to me in helping me preach the good news.
It's not even served, it's helped preach the good news.
Yeah, the Revised Standard. But Timothy's worth you know, how as a son with a father he has served with me in the gospel.
Served, again. All right, I'm going to read the same one from the...
Oh, but they have a far superior translation.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, it's because it serves their purpose in getting the minions to work for free.
Slaves.
Yeah. Here's the Holloman Christian Standard Bible. Philippians 2, verse 22. But you know his proven character, because he has served with me in the gospel ministry like a son with a father. So there's the word served.
Work alongside.
How about the New Jerusalem Bible? Philippians 2:22 says, but you know what sort of person he has proved himself, working with me for the sake of the gospel like a son with his father. Working with totally changes the meaning when Watchtower throws in the word slave. Now, how about the contemporary English version? Philippians 2:22 says, but you know what kind of person Timothy is. He has worked with me like a son in spreading the good news. Now,
That's a very nice one, too.
Yeah, the Hallelujah Scriptures. Verse 22. But you know he has proven himself, that as a son with his father, he served with me for the good news. It's a huge difference in the meanings of the word worked, served, and slaved. Come on, Watchtower. You're not going to pull this nonsense anymore, because too many of us are getting different Bibles and seeing how you people have changed and tampered with the Word of God. We see it. And so are a lot of other current Jehovah's Witnesses that are waking up and personally thanking many of us for pointing out the inconsistencies with other Bibles compared to the New World Translation.
But see, this goes right in with their doctrines or dogmas. Actually, they're more like dogmas, because, you know, you have to slave for the organization.
Well,
and even when you think you're doing your best, you still have to give more and slave more.
Okay, now, in all reality, when you slave, you work for nothing. Don't you, Watchtower?
You don't do it out of the kindness of your heart.
But you put the facade of, this is a volunteer workforce. No, it's a slave workforce, because even the Mormon religion pays their people to build their temples. They don't expect their people to work for nothing. That's the difference between you people and, say, another religion like Mormons. And there are other religions out there that also pay their people when they work.
Well, I want to talk about pain, because in the same broadcast, we don't have it in any of our clips, but they talk about praying and they get a blessing from Jehovah for chairs.
Yeah.
They needed more chairs, and
So-
that kind of stuff just drives Mike and I up the wall.
Well, yeah, go ahead, because I remember.
you about to
No,
go
I
off?
remember what you're talking about, because it's pure utter bullshit.
Okay, so Jehovah blesses you with chairs.
Or in a couple, broadcasts
Last
before,
year.
sand. You Jehovah gave you a blessing of sand.
So he blesses you with chairs, but yet look at how many thousands of children are being abused in your organization. Sickening.
It's deplorable.
Why doesn't your God Jehovah do something about that?
But we don't want to take their human rights away from Watchtower, because you know what? It's a joke, people. It's a freaking joke.
Well, it's just like the Australian Royal Commission that we just got and put up on our channel from March 9th. They're talking about they haven't changed anything. And they're like, oh, but we've been reporting every case since Study 29 was done 18 months ago, I believe it was. And he says, but you should have been doing this all along.
Yeah, what about the cases that go all the way back to the 50s, Watchtower? Give us a break. We're not that stupid any longer. Well, some are.
Yeah. Yep. Okay, we have another clip.
Let's do it.
We're learning fantastic teaching techniques, real techniques that work.
El instructor nos comentó
The instructor told us how humor helps our minds to create a world of connections which stimulates our brain.
puede impulsar a la mente.
Yeah, I'm like a small child when it comes to drawing. I never learned to draw well.
Dibujar bien. Dibuja.
We draw a scene, and starting with our native language, along with large gestures, we act out a dialogue.
Significa
Little by little, we convert the scene into the new language.
ese diálogo en un nuevo idioma.
Thank you for coming. Muchas gracias por venir. Y ahora, thank you for going.
Are they serious?
Yeah, they actually created a safe space with coloring books for these liberals. But even more pathetic than this is you heard the narrative how they're trying to teach these Jehovah's Witnesses to communicate with other people. Watchtower, if you hadn't seen it yet, go back and watch the video we entitled Stupid Cult, Part 2. Get to the part where the young man asks the Jehovah Witness elder, would you worship a God that would kill your disfellowshipped son? Without missing a beat, he says, yes, I would. And then he goes on to give a dumbass, stupid little illustration that doesn't even compare. You know, you have a job, and if you're not performing your job right, you know, you might get a reprimand, but after 2 or 3 times, you're fired. That's your fault. Hey, dumbasses, we're talking about the loss of a job compared to the loss of a life? This is how stupid these people think. This is the depth of the cognitive dissonance that these people suffer from. You Jehovah's Witnesses, one day you're going to give me an aneurysm.
I'm surprised they haven't already.
This is how stupid you watch these broadcasts, and they look all nice, warm and fuzzy, and then, you know, they're coloring in their books, and they're all sitting there in their nice little clean shirts with their little ties, and then you hear the secret recordings. Out of the heart's abundance, so the mouth speaks. Now you really get to hear what Jehovah's Witnesses are like, coming up with a lame illustration comparing the God killing your children to getting fired off a job. It's your fault. Baloney.
Well, I just have a couple of comments about that, recorded elders meeting. There was a couple of things I noticed. The elder was very condescending, and he talked down to the young man, and we know the young man. We've had several conversations. Hi, sweetie. And he's very smart, and he's going to college, and he can reason things out, and he has common sense. And these guys are talking down to him, and the impression I got was like, okay, son, it's okay, but, you listen to us. We have more experience. Yeah. We're wiser, and we've been through it all. And, we know there's nothing better out there.
This is the problem Watchtower's facing, is that these young people, they're on the internet and they're listening to old farts like Kim and I. And they're getting the sense of what we're saying. So they're on the fast track to education right now, Watchtower. So you just keep teaching these people to color in coloring books, and the rest of the world is going to be crapping all over your grave when you go under.
Now, another thing I wanted to mention from that recording is at one point the elder, he goes that if I was now like I was back then, you wouldn't have lasted 5 minutes with me. I would have smacked you. And it's like, oh my God, he's threatening physical violence if he was his old life. So the life the person he is now is only a shell. He only does this. And, the young man is absolutely right. He only is this way now because of fear of God.
Fear of God. Exactly.
So that means you are not a genuine person. You're two-faced.
You're not a genuine Christian.
You're double-hearted.
That's exactly.
You're double-hearted.
See, that's what I say. Watchtower, make no mistake about it. I know the depth of the indoctrination. So does this beautiful woman right here. Make no mistake about it, Watchtower. I see the depth.
Now, the last thing I noticed in that is when he's talking about the video that's only on the Roku TV.
Yeah.
Now, I actually went and I got signed up, registered for Roku TV. Well, that's when I discovered you go through this whole process of signing up for it, to get the video. And I've got the screenshot in, that elders meeting video of JW Broadcasting on Roku TV. But unfortunately, to get in there to get it, you have to have like I said, you go through all of this signing up for an account. Well, then you find out that you need the app for a smartphone, which I do not have, or you need a special device. So I would have to buy a special device in order to finish my subscription for the Roku TV. And then you've got to give them either a credit card or a debit card, and they will bill you each month. So I was telling Mike about this, and we believe it's very similar to Netflix TV, which, we have a subscription to Netflix here in the United States, and it's like $9 a month, and they stream in movies and stuff, and you can watch series and all kinds of shows and stuff, but you cannot grab them.
Right.
You
can't
can
grab
watch them on any of your devices, but you cannot grab them and save them and use them for later, unless you record them with your video camera directly, and then it's a bad recording.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say. At Watchtower, you're not going to stop the recording of this if you go to Roku, because we can just turn our camera around and record it off the TV. Yeah, it may not be the best quality, but we still hear the nonsense that you're throwing out there.
But I was just thinking about that. It's like, that's interesting, because the only place this video he was trying to sell, this young man to watch as the medicine, the pill he needs for his spiritual sickness, was on Roku TV.
Yeah.
And it's harder to grab those. So anybody has a Roku TV subscription, might want to try to find that video. That's the only place it is.
Yeah.
But
These guys are devious, and as the Royal Australian Commission concluded, they're cruel.
They're cruel.
Very, very
They're
cruel.
And I've been putting up some more, just little stuff that I've found in the Australian Royal Commission that might help, to spread around without us yammering on, ranting and raving.
So do we have another clip?
Oh, the next one is Mikey's favorite.
Do I need to go get my M&Ms?
Yeah.
All right, I'll be right back, guys.
At times I wish I could see exactly what my future will be, and how my life will turn out, and which road is the right one for me. But one thing's for sure, no matter what comes along, I live for Jehovah, to Him I belong. Of all the people and things my life could be filled with, the best one of all, the best one to build with, is pleasing Jehovah each day with the choices I make. He gave me all that I have, I'll never forget it. I'm safe in His hands, I'll never regret it. I'm building my future with Him every step that I take. At times the chance comes along to take a path I know to be wrong, a path that leads me away from the place that I know I belong. But keeping in mind the dedication I made can give me the firmness and faith that won't fade. Of all the people and things my life could be filled with, the best one of all, the best one to build with, is pleasing Jehovah each day with the choices I make. He gave me all that I have, I'll never forget it. I'm safe in His hands, I'll never regret it. I'm building my future with Him every step that I take. I'm building a future that never will end if I build it with help from Jehovah, my friend. The happiest moments the best life can give come from pleasing Jehovah each day that I live. choices I made. He gave me all that I have. I'll never forget it. I'm safe in his hands. I'll never regret it. I'm building my future with him every step that I take. I'm building my future with him every step that I take.
Now a word from our sponsor.
Now, the name of this music video was Building a Future. And since this whole broadcast is directed to the young ones, and I've noticed one of the lyrics in the video, the song itself, is keeping my dedication in mind. And it's like, they're having a problem keeping the young ones. And I told Michael, I said, oh my God, I never thought I would hear Jehovah's Witness music with an electric guitar.
Well, there again, it's Watchtower using Christian music to keep their young ones indoctrinated. Because, make no mistake about it, also, friends, that Watchtower does pay attention what other religions are doing to keep their young ones in their churches.
And a lot of churches are doing this.
In Christian music that connect with young kids are keeping them in there. I don't know about most of you, but here in New Mexico, we have several Christian channels that are dedicated to Christians, like the God Channel, and there's a couple others.
Yeah, there's quite a few channels that are religious.
Because, here in the Southwest, we are a predominantly Catholic community in large. And Christianity comes from that also. But the point that I want to make is that if you've ever spent any time watching some of these things, and especially when the Christian music is playing, when their bands are playing, the camera will turn to the crowd, and there is a tremendous amount of young people in those crowds. A tremendous amount of young people. And we all know, as ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, that Watchtower is losing their young ones by leaps and bounds. So now Watchtower has no choice but to copy what the world does to try to hold on to their young ones. But the biggest problem that Watchtower faces is that your young ones are watching our videos, and they're seeing the BS, and they're listening to us older ones saying, hey guys, wait a minute. Whether you want to believe this is God's word or not, there is a storyline that can be followed. And the young ones are smart enough to recognize Watchtower when that storyline is deviated from. That's what they're connecting to. They may not admit any longer that this is God's word, but they can see that you've deviated from that storyline.
Yeah, they may not know if there is a God or not, but they know Watchtower is lying.
They know you're lying.
They know Watchtower is lying to them.
Yeah, and then especially when you and I can come out and show that scripture in Philippians 2:22, how Watchtower put the word slave in every other Bible but one says worked or served with. They can make these connections, Watchtower, because they're seeing it firsthand.
Yeah. But, listening to this music video, I kept thinking, knowing how my mom is and his mom, they're in their mid-70s, I think 75, 76, and how they must feel when they watch one of these broadcasts and hears this rock music. How is that any different from some of the other, community churches? I mean, surely that has got to get through and make them wonder, especially my mom. Because my mom, some things would come up and she would always question whether, the brothers were right about this or not. So, I just often wonder, how in the world does she feel about this now?
They don't.
That this has totally changed. Are they so indoctrinated that they don't even recognize it, or it doesn't even click that, hey, wait a minute here. I think they're too gone. Zombies.
Their thinking ability has utterly been eaten away with Watchtower brain cancer. Now, Kim and I struggled with this for a little while. We didn't want to let everybody know, and maybe this is a good time to do it.
Depends.
Recently, as some of you know privately, because we've talked about this privately, that we've had a prolonged problem with one of our neighbors because we have an easement that goes through our property. And for 10 years, well, we even had to get a restraining order against this guy because he tried to run her down with his vehicle. And there's been a lot of other things. He actually assaulted me once, beat me up, and things like that. So
This has been a 10-year
10-year
terror.
Yeah.
You know, with a restraining order. And, I mean, we've got police report file this thick.
Yeah.
And we haven't said anything publicly up to this point, but it has been very stressful. And I know some of you dear friends have noticed, you know, that we just look like we had a lot of stress in our faces. And so now we're going to share why.
So anyhow, about a month ago, maybe a little bit longer, and some of you that have really paid attention, we talked about buying guns and doing some shooting and stuff like that. There was a very...
It was a necessity.
It was a necessity. So anyhow, this neighbor became friends with another neighbor down the road about 2 miles, and that relationship fell apart. And one day, the neighbor behind me, my neighbor I'm
Crazy
talking about,
neighbor.
crazy neighbor, was driving down the road, turned his truck around abruptly and started chasing down this other neighbor, and he took shots at him. One of the bullets hit the cab of his truck and pierced the seatbelt right about head level, and the bullet shattered on the front window. Then the poor neighbor, out of fear, pulled off the road, and then the crazy neighbor rammed his vehicle into this other vehicle several times. So he was obviously arrested for
Several felonies.
And attempted to commit murder. But
It's been very quiet.
yeah, it's been very nice out here now. So anyhow, the other neighbor that he tried to kill, took the shots at, run off the road and damaged his vehicle, came over to our house about 2 weeks after that incident because we was out target practicing. And he confessed that my crazy neighbor offered him $5,000 cash to kill Kim and I. And we kind of now thinking that the reason why that relationship broke down because that's conspiracy to commit murder.
And the other neighbor said no.
Right. Obviously, he said no. So what Kim and I did is we got a hold of our lawyer and we had them draft a letter to her mom and my mom explaining what the situation was. And that they had 30 days to contact Kim and I so that we could let them know what's going on. And you know, neither parent, it's been over 30 days, and neither parent has contacted us. These people don't care. It's as simple as that. I'm all done saying, well, there's still nice Jehovah's Witnesses in there. Bullshit. All of the nice ones are waking up and leaving. People like her mom and my mom, no way. Their brain is too eaten up with this Watchtower cancer to even care that their own children have had a hit put out on them. They don't care. They just don't effing care.
Yeah. And in fact, I just recently had an email through our website that said, you know, oh, well, Mikey's always ranting and raving. And I usually don't answer ones like that because if this was happening to you, you would be very angry too. We have a right to be angry, you know, and you get the witnesses saying, oh, well, apostates are just bitter and angry. Well, when you go through something like this and your own mothers ignore you, tell me you wouldn't be angry. But one good thing about this letter, and the lawyer we hired, she was very sweet. young woman.
yeah.
You know, she hasn't been a practicing attorney for very long, but she wrote a wonderful letter. And I didn't know Mike was going to go into this, otherwise I would have a copy of it in front of us. But after telling the situation, and I wanted closure with this, because he's, you know, had contact with his mom a few times, and, you know, they just ignore us and everything else. But I wanted closure. So at the end, I had the lawyer put, we forgive you for shunning and disowning us. We still love you. And that's how I ended the letter.
Yeah.
And like Mike said, the lawyer gave him 30 days to contact us. And not one word.
Not one word.
Nothing. Not a phone call, email, nothing to see how we're doing. And the
Or even to express some sort of concern.
natural affection.
Natural affection, zero.
So, you know, if Watchtower does watch this, and for anyone, you know, that has any question whether, you know, Jehovah's Witnesses are still good people and stuff, no.
No, they are
My
not.
mom was a very sweet person. She has always cared about people, even people who were not Jehovah's Witnesses. She was always caring the whole time I was growing up. And this is what she taught me. I'm the way I am because my mom taught me how to be a good person that cares about others. And I know deep in my heart that no matter what my daughter did, I could never shun her or disown her. Even if Shyla committed murder, I could never disown her or shun her. So, you know, we just wanted to share this with everyone of what we've been going through lately. You know, it's been very stressful. My PTSD is back, but we're doing better. But it is
Kim's
what it is.
becoming one hell of a shot.
Yeah, you know, you get a different outlook on life when even the sheriff's department tells you that you really should take Our Lady's gun class and learn how to defend yourself because your life is probably in danger. And then the other neighbor down the road, he knows that, and what makes it difficult is we know the crazy neighbor is out on bail. He's living with his family across the mountain. He does have an ankle bracelet, you know, the monitors, but we know how easy those are to get out of. So anyway, you know, and our dear friends who have all given us love and support during this difficult time, we love you guys so much, and
thank
thank
you.
you so much, you know, because they know the horrendous stress that we have been under. And, you know, I just want to mention that what added to it also is one of the last times I talked to my crazy neighbor, I had told him, you know, I seen him out here on the road, and I told him to be careful keep his dogs in because there's a mountain lion running loose. And he said, well, no, it's a werewolf. So that shows you how crazy he is. But he also said that he had seen a video on YouTube where Mike and I were being accused of being Illuminati and Satanists. And I have been trying to fight YouTube to get those videos taken down because it put our life in danger.
It put our lives in danger because of that freaking idiot that thought he was smart by calling Kim and I Satanists and Illuminati. You literally put our lives in danger because you fed the mind of this crazy neighbor.
So now he thinks, you know, that he has to kill all of his neighbors around here because not only us, but he thinks, you know, the other neighbor is a werewolf.
Yeah.
So, you know, be careful, guys. Be careful, you know, what you say in videos. And, you know, like I
You
said,
put people's lives in danger.
yeah.
When you put up your type of bullshit about Mike and Kim are Illuminati, Mark and Cora is the IRA, Mark and Cora are the Illuminati, you're putting people's lives in danger. It's bad enough that we put ourselves in danger going after Watchtower, but then to have you people do it too?
Yeah. And
God,
then,
get off your frickin' knuckles and walk upright.
and what made it even worse during all this, well, it's been like a year now, but then, you know, a certain person who has a survey website puts our physical address and phone number and name and everything on his website in one of his articles. So he lets the entire world know where we live. And I mean, you don't realize you put people's name, or you put people in danger when you release, everything. And it's like you don't stop and think.
Well, that's that stupid watchtower cancer working in that particular brain.
Yeah, and that's why Mike mentioned the non-thinking wing of, the movement is, yeah, we have a mailing address, but the mailbox is down the road. It's a secure mailbox down the road. It wasn't our physical address and phone number. So it's like, how stupid can some people be?
Very stupid. Very stupid.
So anyway, we just wanted to share this with all of our dear friends, and right now we're okay. The cops are kind of keeping a close eye. I see them driving by every once in a while, and the ladies' gun classes are going to be starting soon, and I think I'm more than ready.
Oh, yeah.
So, but just don't worry, we're okay. We're okay.
Do we have another clip?
Doing better.
We kind of digressed a little. That was actually at the Christian rock music, huh?
Yeah, that was it. And then there's just Let's conclusion at the end.
Well, here, you guys can all sit and listen to him yammer on.
Yes.
Favorite little
So,
clown.
like I said, thank you everyone for your love and support and understanding and patience and just being there for us and being friends. We love you all.
Bye.
Bye.
An encouraging song indeed. We encourage all young ones to take the message of this program to build a future with Jehovah to heart. Prayerfully consider what you can do to expand your ministry. Always safeguard your most valuable possession, your precious relationship with Jehovah. Never forget that there are more with you than there are against you. It is true that Satan, the demons, and this world are against you. But your brothers and sisters, including the governing body, are with you. The angels are with you. The resurrected, immortal, anointed ones are with you. Jesus is with you. And most important, Jehovah is with you. You are never alone.
Enjoy the outtakes.
We are learning fantastic teaching techniques, real techniques that work.
They're in their safe
El
space
instructor
again.
nos comentó
The instructor told us how humor helps our minds to create a world of connections which stimulates our brain.
puede impulsar a la mente.
Oh, okay.
This way for it.
Yeah, I'm like a small child when it comes to drawing. I never learned to draw well.
Dibujar bien.